10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning to one and all. I'm Fahla. I just want to make sure from my tech team that I'm audible. Am I? Okay, thank you. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Cochin University of Science and Technology, Professor K. Madhusudanan, Dr. Sam Thomas, Professor at School of Management Studies, CUSAT, and Director of CITIC, Mr. Prasad Balakrishnan Nair, Chief Executive Officer of Maker Village, Mr. Suman Devnath, Developer Advocate at AWS, and all the young creative minds who have gathered here. I would like to extend a heartfelt welcome to all of you on behalf of the entire team of Makeathon. So, we have all joined here for the inauguration ceremony of Makeathon 2020, the very first online edition of Makeathon. It is starting today and going on for the next 2 days till November 2nd. This is a massive hackathon that celebrates the spirit of build over buy and focuses on bringing out passionate innovators. Makeathon is one of the biggest opportunities for students all across India to embrace the power of innovation, which is organized by the students of Cochin University of Science and Technology and CITIC, the Center for Innovation, Technology Transfer and Industrial Collaboration. CITIC is the technology business incubator of CUSAT, which has nurtured several young startups and has always supported the growth of technology in the student community. Once again, I welcome you all to this prestigious ceremony. Dr. Sam Thomas is the director of CITIC. He is also a professor in quantitative area with School of Management Studies, CUSAT. So, I would now like to invite Dr. Sam Thomas to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Most respected Professor Dr. K. Madhusudanan, Vice Chancellor of CUSAT, my good friend Mr. Prasad Balakrishnan Nair, CEO of Maker Village, Mr. Suman Devnath, Developer Advocate with AWS, Mr. Martin, my faculty colleagues, industry representatives, and dear participants. It is with immense pride that I welcome you all to Makeathon 3.0, the third edition of CUSAT Hackathon, organized by Center of Innovation, Technology Transfer and Industry Collaboration, CITIC. As mentioned, CITIC, the technology business incubator of CUSAT, is one of the largest student incubators in the state. With more than 40 student startups tied up, we have been organizing a range of events over these years to foster the creative talents and the making capabilities of our students. They include training programs, workshops, exhibitions, and so on. Hackathons have been a regular event in the calendar of programs organized by CITIC. We all know hackathons play a very important role in improving the problem-solving capabilities of young entrepreneurs. It improves the innovation quotient of the society in general and the startup ecosystem in particular. Enthused by the excellent response we got last year to the Makeathon 2.0, we decided to continue with the same event this year as well. Though challenged by this pandemic and unfortunate circumstances, the youngsters, the organizing committee has taken it as a challenge and decided to switch over to the online version as a 48-hour online hackathon without compromising on the spirit, the fun, and the learning part of a hackathon. As you all know, though it's a competition where each one of you will be competing with 130 odd participants to win the prize, end of the day, all of you will be winners. And I'm sure after 2 days, you will all be value added through a range of holistic learning experiences. You will be learning from your friends who will be joining you from some of the top education institutions across the country, across the state, and even outside the state. You will have workshops and talks by industry expert from leading tech companies like AWS, Google, WordPress, etc. And you have a bunch of your committed seniors, entrepreneurs, startups who have pledged to give you all the necessary tips and mentorship during the next 2 days as you are into the process of making. So end of the day, I will assure you that is going to be a huge value adding activity. Being a competition, as I mentioned, we have many prizes to be won. This year we have 3 prizes actually, 4 prizes to be specific. We have this main prize called the grand prize, which is given to the most innovative and practical solution that tackles a socially relevant problem. We also have sectoral prizes, one for the life science stream, for the best idea or project coming up in the field of biotechnology, polymer science, and marine engineering. We also have a prize sponsored by Agrivator for the most innovative social entrepreneurship idea. And as started last year under the advice of the Vice Chancellor, we have a special prize called Hack for QSAT, a special prize reserved for QSAT team, which proposes a project that can be implemented or can solve a problem specific to QSAT. So altogether, I'm sure it's going to be an exciting event, and we look forward to the ideas that will come up on November 2nd. Now let me come to my duty. I'm so happy that the event is inaugurated by our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. K. Madhusudanan, who is a very strong supporter of innovation-related activities in the campus. Ever since he took over as Vice Chancellor 2 years back, this kind of startup-related activities have gained a momentum. He is the one who encouraged us to go for this hackathon last year with these special prizes involving maximum participation from within the university as well as outside. And the last 1 year, we have seen under him a huge funding is given for infrastructure upgradation of the TBA. And first time in the history of the state, a state university has given more than close to 50 lakhs as startup grants to the budding student and alumni entrepreneurs of QSAT. And also, especially, scheme was launched by him to design innovative products and solutions to fight the COVID pandemic. Sir, we are all encouraged by the support that you give us consistently to facilitate these young talents and to improve the startup ecosystem in the university. On behalf of City, on behalf of the organizing committee, I extend Vice Chancellor a very hearty welcome. We have Mr. Prasad Balakrishnan Nair, CEO Maker Village, joining us as the chief guest for the function. Mr. Prasad is a very prominent figure in the startup ecosystem of the state. And under him, Maker Village has grown to become the best and the biggest hardware incubator in the country. And anyone who has visited that place will vouch for the quality of the startups, the quality of the programs they organize. He has been a strong supporter, a friend, philosopher, guide to City, to QSAT, has been supporting us and our startups through various means, has been funding our startups under different schemes, providing mentorship, offering national visibility some of our student startups, and also active in QSAT academic circle by being part of board of studies and academic talks. So on behalf of City and the organizing committee, I extend Mr. Prasad a hearty welcome. Industry association is very important for any academic event, all the more something like a hackathon. We are so happy that we could always get support of various tech companies and developer communities in organizing this event. I should be especially mentioning the services of Amazon Web Services. Right from the inception of this program, they have been very active with Mr. Girish and his team has been more than willing to support us, not just this year, last year also we have seen that. And this year, the support has been all the more prominent. So I thank AWS for being such a strong supporter. And I'm so happy that Mr. Suman Devnath, developer advocate with AWS, has joined us as the keynote speaker. On behalf of the organizing committee of Megaton, I extend Mr. Suman a hearty welcome. I also acknowledge the presence of my faculty colleagues from various departments, people from industry, startup community in QSAT and outside. You have been playing a major role in motivating us to organize this event. And I should especially appreciate the role of this organizing committee. You know, it's not so easy to organize an event of this magnitude, mobilizing hundreds of students from various places, bring them under one platform and organize a structured event. We all know it's not so easy when you're physically far apart. But this team has taken up as a challenge. The team consisting of mainly Mr. Martin, Jodes, Ibn, Amel, Alan, a good team. They have stood together, organized, planned this event meticulously from the beginning. They started months back and they have been meticulously doing this work. I think they need a very special appreciation from our side. And finally, but most important, you, the participants. The success of the program ultimately depends on you. It is your idea, your work that will make this program a success or a failure. I'm so happy that during these tiring times when you had so many other constraints, you accepted our invitation, registered for the program, and has reported on time to participate in this event. I wish you all the very best, and I assure you a fun-filled learning experience for the next 2 days. Once again, I thank all the people who are connected with us and the people who are going to talk to you tomorrow, Mr. Hari Shankar of WordPress and Mr. Amrit Sanjeev of Google, who will be addressing you tomorrow as part of their workshops, and Mr. Tom of Startup Mission and Mr. Sri Kumar of Nest, who will be meeting you as evaluating judges to give you guidance and comments on the last day. I appreciate their gestures. Once again, I welcome all of you and I remain. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for keeping us motivated. Professor Dr. K.N. Madhusudan Nair is the current Vice Chancellor of Cochin University of Science and Technology. He is also a life member of Acoustical Society of India and Indian Physics Association. Now, it's my great honor to welcome Professor Dr. K.N. Madhusudan to address the audience and inaugurate the much-awaited Megaton 2020.
A very good morning. Sorry, I was not audible probably. Very good morning again. Professor Sam Thomas, Sri Prasad Balakrishnan, Mr. Suman Devnath, participants of this hackathon, friends. I'm very glad to be part of this Megaton 2020, the hackathon organized by our city. We are organizing this event, as we know, during this pandemic period. So this time, this is on virtual mode. CITIC has taken immense pain to organize this under the circumstances. The CITIC team has done a very commendable job in organizing this event, bringing students from all over India to participate in this program. We all know the spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation. QSAT is in the forefront of taking this spirit to the students. The student community has wholeheartedly accepted this and participated our events in the past also. I'm sure the same enthusiasm remains with the students this year too, even though we are organizing this on the virtual platform. So it is very important in the present day to inculcate the spirit of entrepreneurship and innovation among the young community. So in view of this, we started this event a couple of years back, and ever since it has been growing in size and scope. This year too, I understand there are events in various technology areas where students are participating. I'm sure the students will uphold this spirit and actively participate, and I hope the ideas that come up in this event will definitely be growing and will take shape for a very big future. I wish all the very success for the event, and I declare this program formally inaugurated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your immense support and your warm words. Mr. Prasad Balakrishnan Nair is currently heading the Maker Village, the electronic incubator funded by Department of Electronics and Information Technology and supported by the Government of Kerala as its Chief Executive Officer. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Prasad Balakrishnan Nair to address the audience with his influential words.
Good morning. I think there are three kinds of people around us, or rather three kinds of leaders around us. One who will do very less and speak a lot. Second, who will do a lot and speak a lot also. And the third, who do a lot and speak very less and let their actions speak for themselves. So taking a cue from Professor Sam Thomas was mentioning, I think our Honorable Vice Chancellor belonged to the third category. He does a lot, speak very less about that, and let his actions speak for himself. Very down to earth, composed, calm, quiet, sober, but highly effective and efficient. I think this third edition of this Megaton is a testimony to his leadership, to his guidance, which he is giving to promote and inculcate the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship, not only in QSAT campus, but as a cumulatively to the entire ecosystem as a whole. I met him, I think, a couple of times during for meetings and a couple of times shared platform with him. But all these 4 or 5 times, all the occasions were about innovation and entrepreneurship. So that itself shows the kind of leadership which he provides for creating the spirit of entrepreneurship in this ecosystem. So I would like to congratulate him at the outset for guiding and leading this entrepreneurial movement in the QSAT campus. Now coming to Dr. Sam Thomas, the ever present, ever pleasant, ever active, ever energetic person who is guiding innovation, leading the innovation movement in the campus. And not only in the campus, he is working very closely with Make a Village, Startup Mission, and so on and so forth. And he's the person who is one of the key persons who is a leading light, you can say, for making startup movement in this part of the world. I also would like to appreciate Dr. Sam Thomas and his colleagues for making this happen. Also, wishes to Sam Devnath, all the participants, all the organizers, and the CUSAT faculty, students. Once again, a very good morning. We all know that we are living in the most interesting times. I'm just quoting from the words which Charles Dickens used. We are living in the interesting times. We don't have any complaints about how much interesting times which we are living. I just recalling the words of Vladimir Lenin. He has mentioned that there are decades and centuries passes without nothing much happens, and there are weeks passes where centuries and decades happens. So we are passing through weeks or months in which unprecedented changes are happening, which has not happened in the last centuries or decades. Transformational changes are happening, mind-boggling pace. Whatever we thought as correct, as the right thing yesterday is being rewritten, recalibrated, rejigged, reevaluated. The yesterdays which we are seeing, the todays we are planned, and the future which is beckoning us is never going to be the same. What we thought was scientific breakthroughs which can save mankind is come to naught. Whatever perspectives, histories, truths which we thought as the ultimate way forward for mankind has failed us. When the most powerful nation in the earth and the most powerful person, the president of United States of America, for example, was helpless in the past few months. So it's a never before kind of situation for mankind. We've never seen such a situation before. But what is the way forward? In one sentence, as Professor Sam and I counted, Honorable Vice Chancellor has mentioned 4 times. He has mentioned in fact during his speech, the spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship. That is the only way forward. Innovation has become like oxygen. It's no longer a necessity. I mean, no longer a luxury, but a necessity for survival and sustenance. That is the only way forward. For this, to inculcate the spirit of innovation, the spirit of entrepreneurship, what we require is never before kind of decisions. And again, I'm fond of quoting so many people. I'm just quoting one more Nobel laureate, Mohammad Yunus. You are all aware of Mohammad Yunus of Grameen Bank. He mentioned that to tide over these times, we need outrageous decisions. That is the word which he used. I like that word, outrageous decisions. And he also said, we should not think about going back. When we all think that we want to go back after the pandemic is go back where we were after the pandemic is over. But he is saying that we should not think about going back, which is not possible, which may not be possible. We should think about going forward from wherever we are. So to go forward, what we require is more and more innovation, more and more entrepreneurship. That is a reality. which we all have to accept. It could be a different means, different ways it can happen, but we need to innovate. We need to find new ways of going forward. So in that reality, where are we positioned as a state, as a society? We all know that we have got good infrastructure compared to many other states or many other countries. We have got good talented people, and but we all, it's already cliche to say that, but we all lament that whenever Keralites go out, they do brilliant things. They do brilliant things in top-notch companies. They innovate. They become good entrepreneurs. But when they're coming back to Kerala, nothing happens. It's a cost. But I think these are all wrong notions. It's only about believing yourself. It's only about getting that real courage. It is only about conviction. When again, one more quote: when Edmund Hillary climbed Everest, he was telling, we have not conquered mountains, but we have conquered ourselves. So we have to conquer ourselves. We have to change our mindset. We have to think afresh. We have to be confident about ourselves, about the capabilities, competencies. We have to be courageous enough to start afresh. We have got everything in our place. We have got the best talent available, best climatic conditions, best infrastructure compared to many other states in the country. Only thing is, we have to trust ourselves. We have to be convince ourselves about our capability. So it's only a question of a forceful seeding which has to happen. And seeing this megaton and activities like this as this forceful seeding to create the right kind of environment, to create the right kind of ecosystem, to create the spirit of entrepreneurship, the spirit of innovation, the culture of innovation and celebration of innovation. I'm quoting what Professor Sam was telling, fun-filled megaton. So we have to celebrate these activities to create the right kind of environment. Megaton or hackathons are all about packed events. This one is also about action-packed 48 hours. So there is not much of a scope for long speeches and dialogues, all those things when you are about to commence a hackathon, because it is about action, it is about innovation, it is about solution. So we should not kill the spirit of this hackathon by making more speeches and all those kinds of things. So I'm concluding here, again quoting from Sam, you're all going to be winners. And salute to all the winners, and salute to CITIC, and salute to FUSAT. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your mind-boggling words, the spirit. Mr. Suman Debnath is an expert in delivering technical training and inspiring workshops. He is a storage professional, mostly focusing on performance engineering, system testing, quality engineering, and solutioning. Currently, he is the principal developer advocate at Amazon Web Service, AWS. After his talk, you will be provided an interactive session with him, so I suggest that you keep your questions and doubts ready by then. We'll get through it. Now, with immense pleasure and gratitude, I would like to invite Mr. Suman Debnath to ignite the brilliant minds with his inspiring words.
Hey, thank you so much for your time. I just want to make sure if my screen is visible. Yeah, okay, good. So let me first set the stage. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me. And it was a very energetic introductory speech by faculties and dean and the all the eminent personalities, and I feel pretty nervous, just like any other student. When you speak in front of such high people of high grade, you always have some butterflies in your stomach. Right? So but thank you so much for joining in. Hackathon is one of the things which I always appreciate people to join in and to contribute, because this is just the beginning of what you can do once you come out of your college. And but to be very honest, when I was in college, I had no idea about what hackathon is. In fact, I was not aware of any of the events that happens outside the college or the college premise. So you can guess my age as well. So today, what I thought to discuss is as just the we just heard that it doesn't make sense to just speak, right? We need to convert our thoughts into actionable items. So next 20 minutes, what I'm going to do is I'll just try to ignite few of the possibilities that that you can do, and or maybe you are doing now, right? So we will just get over few of the things which are around us where you can contribute. Okay, so I'm going to, pause towards the end, so that if you have any questions, feel free to connect with me. And even if we don't get time for Q&A to that much, we can always connect after the session, right? So what I'm going to talk about today is the AI. You all know about AI on machine learning. So I'm part of Amazon Web Services, and I mostly focus on machine learning and data analytics. And outside my work, I'm also doing my master's from IIT Jodhpur. So this particular session is just about to give you an intuition of what is possible. So if you look at it, this is a famous quote by Michael. He's the CTO and head of White House office. He says that our future rests on getting AI right. AI supports the job of the future, and it is and it will continue to drive the economic growth. And it's not about only US, but for all the countries, including India. And in fact, India is driving even more than any other country at this point. So this is a very big statement, because if you know that for any country, the government invests the most in the defense research and development, right, for obvious reason. But this is the investment, which is roughly around $1,000 million, which is a non-defense AI R&D budget for them, right, for 2020. So this will give you an intuition that how important AI is in our life. And we all use AI directly or indirectly. We all use, even if I take the software engineering part outside that, let's assume that we are not software engineers. Even if we are just a consumer, we all use AI, right? We take Ola cabs, we use Zomato, we use Swiggy, we use our smartphones. Everywhere you see, it's all powered by AI. And this is the best opportunity for you to, get involved into that stripe. So now let's start from the very basics. So let's say you are working for a company, and the marketing team tells you that, okay, this is some new product that I'm coming up with, and can you help me with the marketing campaign? So how you can do this? So as you can see, this is just a small helicopter game, a toy, and you want to identify who are the people should the marketing team concerned about, and so that they can give a push to those people. Like those people will get some promotional emails or maybe some discounts and etc. Right? So we get lots of emails and SMS from various companies, various shops, right? But how do you categorize that which should be the customer that we should target? So if this is the problem in hand, how you can do that? So the first approach that we can think of is, which many of us would agree, is building a rule-based engine. So we can always design some hand-based rules and code those rules into our application logic. For example, we can create rules around age, purchase history, gender, and so on and so forth. And it will just process this inputs based on those rules, and it will generate some output, like, okay, this guy is the right person to target. So you can send a promotional email to him or her, whatever it is. So this could be definitely workful. Like you can always do that with your rule-based design, but the number of data dimension, the number of parameters is huge, right? You cannot just manually set the rules, and also these rules will become more and more complex over the period of time. All right, so there might be other parameters or other dimensions of a person's personality. Let's say, for example, there are people where their age is more than 50 but still they like to play, right? We do have people like that. So those things will be missed out if you make a rule based engine for this particular problem. So few of the problem of this hand design approach is the first is the scalability. So it would be extremely difficult to anticipate and identify all the rules and code all of them into the application, because at the end of the day you have to write the code to make it executable. The second is the adaptability. So when a new data comes or the new situation comes, the old rule may not work, so you will need to again go back and again you have to hand design the new rules. And the last is the closed loop. So what that means is these hand designed rules assumes that we have a complete understanding of all the situations and possibilities, which is not possible, right? Which is not true. We human have a finite brain, right? And we cannot memorize everything. Right. So this is also a problem when you design something with you of your own. Now, how we can do that? How we can overcome this challenge? So the one of the way to overcome this challenge is by using machine learning. So what if you just pass all of your data into a sum system? So we are calling this as a learning algorithm, but you can think of it as some function, right? And we don't know what would be that function is. Okay, we have no idea about that function. But what if we come up with some model where we will just learn from the pattern? So we will just learn from the pattern of the data. So let's say we give lots of historic data that okay, this person of this age has bought this item, this person of that age has bought this item. If you give all those information into an algorithm, and what that algorithm is, as of now we don't care, okay, but there is some algorithm there which uses some statistical technique which can produce a function which can approximate, and that is what we call it a machine learning model. Okay, so once that model is ready, you can ask that model, hey, if this a new person, do you feel that I should send an campaign email or not? So that model will say yes or no, right? So it will say yes, this person seems to be a potential customer for this product, just send an email. Okay, so basically this model is your function. Okay, and how you come to this model is using all sorts of data and lots of data. And the best part of this is you are not hand coding your the rules, right? So you do not code the pattern. You let the system to learn through the data. Okay, that's the whole idea of machine learning, whether it's machine learning or deep learning or reinforcement learning, whatever you hear around or you work on. This is the core crux of machine learning. Now, when you look at the explosion of AI and ML use cases, there are plenty, right? Just as I mentioned, so you have image recognition and tagging in, photo organizations. Like, I don't know how many of you have noticed, but if you now put a photo in a Facebook or LinkedIn or any social media platform, even if you do not tag them, they automatically get tagged. All right, so the other person will get notified if you have uploaded one of the photograph with you and your friend. That friend would get a notification that, hey, someone have uploaded your photograph. But when you go and open that post, you will see that he has not actually tagged you, but the system automatically identifies, right? So this is one of the simple use case which we all see in social media. Then we have object detection and tracking. This is very, very important in research organizations, in defense, to track activity at various places, right? Let's say, in the border, we have defense, right? We have Air Force, Army, Navy, all of them protecting our country. So they do use all these kinds of object detection to identify if there is an infiltration coming up or not. So this is very specialized and very sophisticated application. But if you look at it, it is being used in everywhere. Like let's say a traffic signal where a vehicle is breaking any red signal or not. Everywhere you can see this. Speech recognition and synthesis. This is very common. You might have seen Alexa or any other device like that. Now we have the technology where you can watch a Tamil movie, and if I do not understand Tamil, if let's say if I understand only Bengali, while the movie is being played, it can online at real time, it can convert that Tamil into Bengali. So I would listen to the language of my choice. So these kind of things are possible. And then we have automatic trading, right? So let's say stock market. So I do not have any understanding of stock market, but still I invest little bit. And how I could invest, because I just invest to one startup, and which has an algorithm which can forecast which are the stocks or markets or mutual funds will do well over the period of time. So there is always a negative reward. We all know that stock market is kind of a flaky market, but the idea is you don't need a specialized person to mentor you. You can rely on machine learning, which can help you to take decisions, right? Where to put your stocks, where to put your money on. And last but not the least, we have sentiment analysis. So this is very, very important, and this is one of my favorite. So you might have seen that in Amazon.com or Amazon.in, if you buy something, you might have seen the reviews of people, right? So this product is good, that product is not good, and all of that. So let's say you have to understand as a company that your product is doing good or not. One way to do that is you will let someone from your team to read through all those comments, right? Which will take years to accumulate all the feedback, right? So that is not scalable, that is not feasible to some extent. So what if you use machine learning in such a way that the machine learning model will take all those comments, all those feedbacks, and it will just say that, hey, this comment is positive, this comment is negative, this comment is neutral. So we have technology like that, and we do use that at Amazon, and not only at Amazon, but everywhere else. You can do sentiment analysis of people's feedback, or maybe any conference, like let's say this conference, and you have some feedback about this hackathon after 2 days, and you will share it with the organizer. Now, one way that organizer can analyze that is by reading each of your comments. But other way would be he will just take the whole data in a JSON file or in a text file, and he will just send it to some sentiment analysis engine, which will predict that whether the comments are positive or negative, right? It will just take few seconds to do that. So these are the possibilities that few of the possibilities that AI or machine learning enables us. So before we continue, let's see how easily you can build those capabilities. Okay, so I'm not looking for people who are experts in machine learning or masters or PhD in machine learning. Right? So let's say you are a software developer, or you just understand your application. That can be anything, right? Maybe database, server side, front end, back end, whatever it is. But how easy it is today, because of various companies like AWS, that you can take those capabilities, AI capabilities, into your application without much of a struggle. So let's take an example. So let's say you are want to build an application that will use for facial recognition to authenticate people to access the building, right? So how you can do this? If I just consider you have AWS, how you can do with AWS? So first thing that you can do is you can create something called a face collection, and the way that you can do it is using a service of AWS called recognition. So what you can do is simply this is a command line argument, basically a CLI command. So the command is AWS recognition create collection and the collection ID. So let's say this is you are building for your company, and your company name is ABCD, right? So you may like to create a collection saying AWS recognition create collection ID ABCD, right? So something like that. So it's just the first stage here. So what you're doing essentially is you're creating a collection in recognition. So recognition is the main service. So here the recognition Recognition is the service which you can use for any image or video analysis, right? So this is the first thing that you can do. So the second step would be, you have lots of employees or lots of colleagues, a lot of people in your organization. So you need to have a database of all those images, right? So you might send an email to all of your, employees that we are making a facial recognition authenticated system. So for that, we need images from all of you, right? So they will send all of the images, and you have to just collect them and add that into that collection, right? This is the collection ID we have just created. And what you have to do is you have to put all the data, all the images of all the employees into this collection ID. Okay, and don't worry about these terms like S3 object bucket. So basically, what this second line is saying is where exactly you are storing the data, right? So in Amazon or AWS, we have something called S3. So S3 is an service where you can dump your data. Okay, so you can think of it as just a file share, kind of, although it's not a file share. But for now, you can just understand, get a feel of that as a Dropbox, right? How you put data in Dropbox or any other, storage service which you can access online, right? So this is the second step. So you have created a collection ID, and then you asked all of your employees to share their photograph, and you just dumped there. Once that is done, you are completely done with your machine learning model or application, whatever you say, right? Although you have not written a single line of code to train that model, or what we have seen just now, you have to pick one machine learning algorithm to build that model. You have not done any of that. And the reason you don't have to do all of that is because you are using a recognition service, which has already been trained and tuned by AWS, right? So now what you have to do is you just have to put the camera in front of your gate, and you have to pick images from that camera, and that image will go to the recognition service, and it will just search. So it will just search by face. Okay, this is the command line argument for recognition, to search an image from that collection. And we will say that if you find a 99% of accuracy, that means if recognition is 99% or more confident about the fact that a person who is entering is a person that I have seen in my database or in my collection ID, then I will allow that person, right? So this is what the whole thing would look like. So it's a very simple stage step. Okay, and it's basically just 3 single command, right? You don't have to do a lot. So in fact, the earlier stage where you have to add images of your employees, that would take a little bit of time, because let's say you have 1,000 employees, you have to run that command 1,000 times, right? Because you have 1,000 different images. So that is the only time you might have to run that in a for loop, and then that's done, right? So you don't have to do anything else. So that's the beauty of AI and how easily you can build things on the cloud. Now, this is, I will not spend time on this because this is, not an AWS talk, but if you are into machine learning and AI, and if you want to build your skill sets on top of AWS, these are the services that you could use. Okay, so we have categorized this into 3 layers. The bottom layer is the layer where you have all the core infrastructures, like you will get systems with GPUs, CPUs, high memory, and all the frameworks. That's all. So it's kind of a vanilla system, and you have to build everything of your own, right? And then we have a service called ML service stage or ML service layer, where we have a service called Amazon SageMaker. And this is the service which is used by most of the data scientists and developers and engineers. So in the hackathon, if you happen to use any of the machine learning capabilities, you may like to explore this, because here you can get a Jupyter notebook with inbuilt kernel of all the frameworks, right? Like PyTorch, TensorFlow, MXNet, etc. And you can train, build, and deploy your model, and at scale, right? You don't have to worry about how many people are sending data for inference, right? So you don't have to worry about all of that. Everything is taken care by SageMaker. And then we have the AI based service, and these are the service where you don't have to build anything, right? These all are REST API based service, just like what we have seen, a recognition. When you are actually running that single line command, that is actually sending an API call to that particular service in AWS. So in our case, it was recognition, but we have various services for speech, text, chatbots, and etc. So this is the easiest way to get started with AI for any software developer. And the rest of the services like this one, SageMaker, and the very bottom, the ML frameworks and infrastructure, these are meant for little experience. Once you get more into machine learning or deep learning, you can explore this. So these are the use cases that we were talking about. You can use AI services for language translation, or create chatbots using Lex, Amazon Lex. Then you can also use forecasting or forecast for building some recommendation system, or forecasting, let's say, for stock trading and all of that. And last but not the least is the speech, right? This is very, very common these days. You might have seen Alexa, and we use Polly for that, where you can convert a text into speech. Similarly, you can do the reverse, where you can convert the speech into some text using transcribe, right? So these are the common use cases that you see everywhere. Now, these are a few of the companies, who are using this in practice. So you might have heard of F1 race if you are into, cars and all of this. So F1 race uses AWS for their races. So how they use this is they use roughly around 120 or 150 sensors around each car. Okay, it's incredible to think about it, right? When you see any F1 race next time, just imagine that this is all happening when you actually watch that race. Okay, so they have more than 100 sensors around the car, and that generates roughly around 3 GB of data, which has 1,500 data points, and these all are created per second. So it creates terabytes of data, for a particular race, and then they use that data to analyze. Like, let's say the car is moving, and it will predict on, in real time, that a person who is coming from behind, or the player that is coming from behind, he might overtake him in 3 seconds or next 5 seconds. So this kind of prediction you will get when you have these sensors around, and we fetch that data from from that car, or while it is racing. Next, we have another company called Simple. So they are into automotive cars, and the image that you see here on the left-hand side is an automotive vehicle. It's a self-driving car, just like Tesla, and this is in the daytime. On the right side, it's in the nighttime. So it uses machine learning, and in particularly, it uses a framework called MXNet on AWS to build this model. And then one more. This is very interesting for me. This is for a company called ClickFlix. So they use, again, MXNet to on SageMaker to train a model which can detect that the burger that they are going to serve, or the French fries that they are going to serve to their customers, are fresh or not. Right. So they use computer vision and image processing to train a computer vision model which can detect that the food that the restaurant is going to serve to the customer, they are fresh or not. So that's fantastic, right? I personally have never thought that the French fries that I eat, or the burger that I order, have gone through some machine learning pipeline, right? So it's fantastic. Now, when you look at this, all of these, since our birth, we have seen that there is some disruption over the period of time, right? So I hope that most of you are, born in late 90s or early 2000, right? So this is something that we all have seen, right? Some disruption. And the next disruption that is going to come is surely based on AI, and surely will be driven by AI, if not anything else. So when you look at past, we have lots of disruptions we have seen, right, since our childhood, like whether it's electricity, gas, or light, or train, aircraft. So these are the things, when you look at it now, we take it for granted. Okay, see, this is very obvious that we will have aircraft, but it was incredible, right, when it was invented and developed. So this was the past disruption. What is the present? The present, if you look around, we have cloud computing, GPS, internet, social media, and whatever. I mean, we have the series just goes on, right? So these are the things which have taken place in last 50 or 60 years. Now, when you look at future, we have incredible technology coming up in our way, like AI, autonomous vehicles, blockchain, IoT. In fact, it is not the future. We are living in this present, but this is incredible. And if you're not aware, just explore 3D printing. We have 3D printers which can actually print a house. Can you just imagine? It can actually print a house. So we do have technology, in that direction. Now, at last, I just want you to give you an intuition of how and what is the pace the innovation has come up in last 20 years. So when you look at 2020, we started with GPS. At that time, I have no clue about what GPS is, to be very honest. Then we have iPad, then BlackBerry in 2002. I still remember, I guess I was in school in my 11th standard in 2002. One of my friend's dad was having a BlackBerry, and we were so curious to know what a cell phone looked like, and how that BlackBerry and whatever it is. At that time, I did not even know it was BlackBerry, but now I know that that was a BlackBerry. But we were actually in queue to his home to see that particular device. And now, if you look at it, without mobile, we cannot even imagine our life, right? So it's also, a bad thing, but that's how the our life has changed, right? So these are the innovation that has come over the first 5 years since 2000. And then we have, cloud computing coming in. We have resources to build things on the cloud. We don't have to rely on physical equipments or labs. Then we have Netflix, Airbnb. So Airbnb is incredible, right? We have never thought that someone can rent their home or house or hotel, and we can just go and stay, right? Things which we take it for granted today was unimaginable, at that time when it was, when it came. And then came Uber. So Uber is also incredible, right? We never thought that we can book a cab by using our mobile phone. Having a mobile phone itself, it was a luxury. But when mobile phone came, we never thought that we will get an opportunity to book cabs from wherever we are by just few click of few icons in our mobile phone. And then we have continued that journey, and we started with other innovations like 4G, then iPad, Android phones, and so on. Right? So the list just goes on. And now what you see in the last 5 years was absolutely amazing, right? So we have Amazon Echo, where you have a device which can talk to you at your home, and it can do things that you would have to manually do, and it's a lot of pain to do that, right? So if I take my example, now I do not order my let's say big basket grocery by going to my phone and giving the order. I do not do that. I just tell Alexa, and there is a skill set built up, and I just modified that rule base to my choice, and I can just say what are the things that I need to buy, and it will just take the payment information from my account, and it will just send that order, right? It's incredible. I enter my home, I just say that what's the news. I don't have to open or switch on the television. So these are the things that has happened in the last 5 years. And in 2017, a fantastic thing came up called Sophia. I don't know how many of you are aware of. Sophia is the first robot, human, which has the exactly like a human. You will just feel like you're talking to a human. And in fact, Sophia got a citizenship of Saudi Arabia. So can you imagine that a robot got citizenship for a country? So that is something we have. And just for your curiosity, I mean, in case you are interested, there is a guy called Rohan. I guess he's based out of Bangalore. So he runs an AI training school, and also he runs a project called I think Sulp Works or something. You can just search, you will find it. So he's an incredible engineer. He's an IIT Kharagpur pass out, and I've never seen any smart person like him. And he has lots of projects to work on. If you are interested, do join, that forum, and you can learn from everyone. So that guy has built a Sophia, and that is there in his home. Okay, so it's exactly like Sophia, and he has built it with his team, right? So if you happen to be in Bangalore, do connect with the team, and you might get an opportunity to talk or speak to that Sophia, which is kind of an Indian Sophia. So people are working. So the point I'm trying to make is, you should feel very, very motivated and fortunate that you are in this era of technology where you can actually drive things, right? And you can. So there are two ways that you can enjoy this storm of technology. Either you just use it, okay, that you will anyway do, or you try to contribute there, right? So this is the best opportunity for you to contribute in this journey, so that you become a part of the history, right? So these all things have happened in last 20 years, and the rate that technology is changing, as the professor said before I started my session, that it's changing in an exponential rate, right? And the world that we have seen in last 20 years, or the things that have changed in last 20 years, is nothing actually with respect to what it's going to change in next 20 years. So it would be more than what could be changed in next 200 years. So this is something that we need to realize, right? The world will change more in next 20 years than it has changed in last 200 years, right? So the question that you need to ask to ourselves is, are we ready for this, right? So do we have enough skill sets or enough tools around to experiment and be in this stream and contribute to the community? It's not about getting a job. It's not about building some good software to get good marks or grades in your university or college. I mean, it's all there. Those things are there. But at the end of the day, BTech and Tech PhD degree is just a paper degree. It doesn't hold anything unless until you have made a social impact in the community, right? And we do have technology, and these hackathons are the examples of how a community can help you to build those things, right? So with that, I would like to end here, and I would request you, if you are interested to learn about machine learning, or or build something on AWS, you may like to visit this wonderfully long website, ml.aws. So you can get lots of training. It's all free. I never encourage anyone to pay for anything when it comes to learning. It should be all free. And reach out to me for anything in future, maybe in LinkedIn, or any social media platform, or I have the contact. I shared my contact with the organizer, so feel free to reach out to me for anything. And with that, I'll just hand it over to the moderator.
Thank you, sir. So we have got some questions here for you.
Sure.
So when Mr. Harish has asked, what did you mean by democratization of AI capabilities?
Yeah, so I guess these are the terms that we use in the industry, but these are like, a lot of leaders mention this at various talks and forums. But the idea is basically to spread the AI capabilities to as many people or as many applications as possible. It's not only about just computer science. If you look at farming industry, if you look at medical industry, so my wife works for research institute, and she's from medical background. So they use AI to test their drug, so that the drug can be tested on right patient, right? So it has nothing to do with computer science and all of this, but the power that it has to drive that motivation, that before a pharma company produce a drug, that drug to be tested on right patient, not on everyone. Just like COVID today we have, right? So if we come up with some vaccination, it is always better to test those vaccinations on people who are right for it, right? Not just generic people, right? So this is the more it's kind of a philosophical thing, but the idea for any industry leader when they say anything like this, like democratization of AI capabilities, it's like giving AI to every people in the hand of every people. So it's not about software developers, but in general to everyone.
Okay, so we have another question. Any resources to learn AWS for students like Quick Labs?
Yeah, sure. So there is a you can search it. We have a website called we have a program called AWS Students Ambassador, and then there is a I guess you can get a free account for students if you have an email ID with your college domain. You can get a free resource, and you can just create your account, and you can get free training there, as well as you will get $100 credit. Right, so you can always get started with that. And if you find if you are specific to learn anything, Nasim, just reach out to me. I'll share you those specific resources. There are lots of resources. There's overwhelming number of resources.
Okay, so we have got one from Neeraj Jairaj. What advice would you give to your younger self at the start of your career?
That's a very good question. Okay, I'm glad you asked. So the first advice I would give is which my mom used to say, but at that time I did not listen to him. Is she always used to say that just study now. If you don't study now, you have to study for lifetime, and that's what I'm experiencing right at this age. I'm doing my masters because I did not study my bachelor's the way that I should. So I strongly advise that everyone who are students, whether it's bachelor's or masters, just focus on what your faculties and teachers and professors are saying. You might get overwhelmed by the technology stack outside, quantum computing, AI, etc., etc. But always remember that nothing happens without the basics that we learn from college, right? So that should be your first priority, and you will never get an opportunity in your whole life to talk to faculties and teachers once you get into the corporate world, whether you start off something of your own or you join any organization. So always pay attention to that. On top of it, try to socialize, try to help others, and unless until you help others, there is no point of your learning, to be very honest. And unless until you share, you have no idea which way you are going, right? You might learn something, but unless you have shared with me, you will not know the how much you have actually understood. So these two things, I guess, if you keep in mind, that you need to explore and share and learn, and focus on what you are actually doing at your college or university. I think if you do these two, you will be very well set in the industry. And the reason being is you will have a network around you who can, with whom you have been working on, just like this hackathon, right? So you'll be interacting with a lot of people outside your college as well. So keep doing that, but always focus on the core basics, from what you have the exposure to in the college.
Okay, sir, we have got another question from Wahid. As an AWS professional, what keeps you busy on a day-to-day basis? What does your workday look like?
Very good question. So I'm not that busy as I pretend. Okay, so the way that our day looks like is I'm part of the developer advocates team. So I am assigned to build things. So I try to build some demo or content for developers for different stacks. So I focus on machine learning. So I try to focus on machine learning capabilities and try to build some demos which can help any developer like you to use that and build something on top of it. Right. So this is my work, and not only that, we also take part of building content in terms of blogs or attending sessions like this and talk to all the wonderful people like you. And I always keep, and in fact, this is by principle of Amazon, that we should always park 1 hour or 2 hour every day for self-learning, right? It can be anything. It doesn't have to do with the things that you have been working on, right? So, and I strongly feel that no engineer is that busy that they have to spend 10 hours time for their work to complete their day-to-day tasks, right? So it's not we are not that busy, to be very honest. So we always have to park some time for self-learning. So this is how the day looks like, and I'm very sure that different people will have a different work schedule. But overall, the idea for any, the essence of any AWS employee, I can say is, we love our work. So I can say for myself, I just love my work. So unless until you love your work, the best will never come out from you. So this is also one important point that I've learned from my experience is always do what you love. Okay, if you feel that this is not something that I like, but this is something that my friend is doing, so I should also do. You'll be in a different zone over the period of time if you follow that track, right? So always do what you actually love. It doesn't have to be computer science or even engineering for that matter. If you do love something, just go for it.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question from Vaishnav. Data privacy issues with platforms like Facebook have been a matter of recent debate. What, in your opinion, are the moral implications of monitoring user behavior for corporate benefits?
Yeah, that's a good question. And to be very honest, I'm not the right person to answer this. But I can tell you from from a personal standpoint is Facebook, not Facebook, AWS. We take data privacy or security in a broader sense very seriously. So when we say this, we mean that whatever service that you see in AWS, whatever service, S3 or EC2, whatever it is, we do not launch any service unless until it meets a bar for security, right? So no matter how mature that system is or how mature that service is, we do not push it to the market unless and until it is compliant with all the security certificates or various other compliances. So because we understand that data security and privacy is the most important thing, not as a company but as a customer as well, right? And Amazon is a very customer obsessed company, right? So if you ask anyone who is working in Amazon or who is actually using Amazon product elsewhere, we are very customer obsessed and we work backwards. So meaning that we engineers do not come up with some idea to build things. The way that we build things is we first ask our customers what are their problem and challenges, and then we work backwards to build something. So almost 80 to 90% of the services that we have in AWS, for that matter in Amazon, all are being a result of customer obsession. So yeah, data privacy is very, very important, and we don't, not only data privacy in a broader sense, security, and we take it very, very seriously.
Okay, thank you, sir. That was our last question. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time. It was an amazing session. Okay, so now I would like to call upon my fellow organizer, Martin, to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Pala. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I, on behalf of Make It in 2020, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all our guests and participants for joining us in this inaugural session. Firstly, I'd like to thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. K.N. Madhusudanan, for making time out of his day and addressing the event. A big thank you to Sam sir for being the motivation and support behind Make It In. Honestly, Make It In is not possible without him. Further, we are grateful to Mr. Prasad Balakrishnan for enlightening us on the spirit of hackathon. We are very grateful to Mr. Suman Devnath for an amazing session on how artificial intelligence is transforming everything around us and its new possibilities. I would like to thank the organizing team of Make It In. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated students of CUSAT. Finally, I want to extend my thanks to all the participants who have joined us. The spirit of Make It In every year is to create an atmosphere for all of you where you can meet new people, connect, learn, and grow. I hope everyone will take something positive out of these 48 hours and have a memorable time with us. With this, we conclude the inaugural session and mark the beginning of the 48-hour hackathon. But before we wind up, some important announcements for our participants. The first milestone check will start at 5 p.m. The mentors will be visiting each team for that. And the purpose of this milestone check is to guide your idea in the right direction and also to evaluate your progress. So it is highly encouraged that you are active on Discord and use it to collaborate with your teammates. Now, a very important point. In today's day and age, we all know that user interaction has gone beyond touchscreens. And now voice and gesture-based interfaces are the new norms. So here's a surprise challenge for you all. You have to include a voice-based interaction in your final product. Okay, so the reason we have brought this surprise challenge is to create a level playing field for everyone. Basically, we are very much against the idea of having pre-made products being brought to the hackathon. So the incentive for this is that anyone who completes this extra challenge will have a very high standpoint in the judgment criteria. Again, a very humble reminder, please be active on Discord. Let's learn, collaborate, grow, and let's have an amazing time. Thank you.